Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I hope you are feeling as well as you can be. This body of mine is a little sick, as you can probably hear, so I apologize if that gets in the way for any communication, any kind of connection to be made from one body to another. So I'll be doing my best. We'll see how long I can go. I'm not sure if my voice will be able to stay here forever, but we'll find out. Anyway, I'd like to begin our Shravana with an invocation to the Gayatri Mantra, as always. Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha Tatsavitorvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Thank you. Namaste, dear Kev. Thank you for the heart me that you've blessed our Sangha with, starting off today. Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome, dear Juno, dear Heather. Namaste up the freeway. Hello, Chris. Thank you for being here, spiritual medium Jenny Soup. Namaste, dear Marissa. Namaste, dear Sky Guardian. You shared that you took Advils and Tylenols today. Still not feeling well. Yeah, I imagine it can mess with some other medication, but happy to know that you can relate and not feeling 100% in our body, but that's okay. Not the body, not the mind. We are free from its sufferings as long as we choose to act from a place of something higher. Allow me to set the intention of this space as being one which is open for everyone, regardless of background, identity, orientation, belief system, how your body is feeling, etc. During these divisive times, let us come together in harmony to let go of our differences while still acknowledging them and embracing the unity beneath all of our unique lives. May we come together as fellow students of life to uplift each other, relate in one another's experiences, and share positive sentiments. Dharma will always win. Om Namo Dharmaya. However, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be fulfilling our parts and engaging in our dharma, whatever it is, our righteous duties. And anything that is very frustrating, we can just let go of. Only believe in what inspires you. If you can't just wrap your head around a way of seeing something that inspires you, then no need to think about it. Leave it be and return to it at another time. Hello, dear Anna. Welcome. I'm very grateful to be here again. It is my wish to be your humble servant. Whether I am humble or not is up to you to keep me on tracks, keep me accountable to any mistake I may make, with the hope of being able to accommodate your needs and understand at whatever level you are coming from. It would be my honor to be able to help make connections, settle minds, and affirm bodies. So that is the role that I wish to play. And hello, dear Vicky Moon. Dear Anna, you ask if I am feeling better. No flu allowed? Flu is definitely allowed. Whatever you're going through is allowed. I think it's a beautiful opportunity to become grounded in how you can take care of your body, and it's a true test of one's strength and ability to perform responsibilities whilst balancing your responsibility to your own body. No problem at all. Just the body. And I'm feeling great. I'm grateful for another day. I'm very honored to even be alive at all in whatever capacity. Even if my body isn't feeling so great, no problem. If we wait until our bodies are feeling great to be happy, we'll never be happy. The body's always got something going on. Now, dear plant dreams, you ask, what do I believe is after death? Well, for the most part, I believe it's none of my business. Because as long as I'm on this side, I know that everything that I am meant to experience is already before me now, and it's up to me what I make use of it. And as long as I am engaging in kindness and compassion and just doing my best to be of service to others, then I'm sure death will take care of itself. But if you really want to know, all you ever have to do is ask from where you have come. And surely, as we relinquish the body, we merely return to the very same essence that gave rise to one in the first place. As above, so below. And thank you, dear maid Jarutayanda, for your team bracelet. Heart me on TikTok. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. And hello, dear Olivia. And thank you for your love and light, Enigmagon. Namaste, dear Melinda. Welcome, dear Steph. I'm happy you find a necessity in this space. And welcome, dear Andy Chilled. Dear Tristan wonders where I'm from. I'm from Canada. The land of igloos, maple syrup, and Tim Hortons. Although I think Tim Hortons was purchased by Burger King. So I think it's technically an American-owned organization now. So maybe scratch that one. Namaste, dear sun traveler. Now, to start off our Shravana, this part of our live stream, which I dedicate to learning from a new perspective. Hello, dear Ashley. I would like to showcase something from one of you. As always, it's my honor to use the space to amplify your voice and your interests. And so today I have a special show and tell by Kev. Kev has titled this, For Yamily, Rock, Stones, Tile, Shells, and Wood. Just some art that Kev has made, much of which in retirement, I believe, and I am sure that it has opened a lot of room to discover your interests further and pursue them with a lot more time and energy. So I have a 4-minute video of a compilation of some of the art that Kev has fiddled around with. So if you're interested in watching with me, this will be the first time I'm seeing them too. So let's find out. So we start off with a rock that seems to have cursive love written on it. There's another rock that looks like it has a face of some kind. Another version of it almost looked like a statue of some Greek person, some ancient Greek figure going through them kind of fast. This is a little bit more abstract, but we can see some symmetry in the colors. Here's another rock with some very textured paint on it, looks like. Looks like water droplets. Another rock with some swirls around it, some interesting texture. Looks like bubbles forming on top. It's very interesting. Ooh, some cat eyes. Some America-themed rocks, looks like. Yep. There's a plate, I think. I'm not exactly sure. A plate and a rock. With what such detail. All 50 stars are there, it looks like. Another flag of some kind. Some tiles. Now I see. It looks like a tree with quite some character. Oh, I like that. That one reminds me of a forest. I feel like I'm in twilight of a forest. That is a band, isn't it? I think I recognize that. Is that the logo of 21 Pilots? I'm not sure. I don't listen to much music, but I feel like I recognize that. Some nice patterns. I like the gradients of colors on that rock. Some stippling. It's beautiful. You give these rocks such energy. Oh, how fun. Now what is that? It looks like a castle, a tower with a door and two windows, or it could be some creature with 2 ears and 2 eyes. Art certainly opens the way for many interpretations. It's a tile with paint. Well, you're not wrong. I wanted to go back to see some gradients that I saw. That one, I like that one. That one reminds me of a kind of fish. You know, there's that very specific kind of fish that has those silvery, greeny, blue stripes. Ooh, an eye. That one reminds me of like Cthulhu. Speaking of Cthulhu, some oceans, sky, reminds me of like Cthulhu. Speaking of Cthulhu, some oceans, sky. That one's very dark. Another silhouette of a tree behind a very bright light. That's a beautiful, good Halloweeny one, that one is. Here we find that oceany rock again. Yeah, the eye was like Yoda. I can see that too. That one's like a mandala. And one for the Irish heritage. The clover and the colors of the Irish flag. Oh, some very positive quotes on these rocks. Be happy, joy. You are joy, you are loved, you are wise. I like you, thank you, you're number one. You're brave, it looks like, pretty, kind, smart, so wholesome. For your students, How sweet you are. Yes, you are a joy, Kev. Oh, some more. Kindness, hope, be brave. Look. Another look at these ones. I like the one with teeth. That's funny. It'd be so precious to receive one of these. Christmas shells. Jingle shells, jingle all the way. We are getting closer to Christmas. Ooh, I like that one. That one looks almost indigenous inspired. We love these so much. Here's Melinda. You used to paint rocks with your nieces and nephews. I like them too, and that's very wholesome. Hope and fear. Yes. Miss you. Heart with a missing piece. Missing puzzle piece. That's very symbolic. And here we are at the beginning, rock again, that says love. So they wouldn't throw the rocks, you gave shells. Clever. Well, thank you very much, dear Kev, for the rocks, stones, tiles, shells, and wood for Yamily. It's very wholesome. I certainly enjoyed them, and I hope that you enjoyed them too. So thank you. If anyone ever has something to share, do check out the show and tell submission form in the link tree in my bio. I love dedicating a portion of these lives to showcasing something important from you. It's a great idea, and I'm sorry that the submission form is frustrating for you. User 672 asks, how old am I? How old am I really? I am 23 in this body. But our souls are much, much, much older. Or younger, depending on your perspective. Dear Gillian, you share that today someone broke your heart and you don't know what to do. Be brokenhearted. When you don't know what to do, just be. Be as you are. Let that heart grieve. It's the only way. The only way to cure a broken heart is to let it cry. Know that you're absolutely allowed to feel like the way you are in this moment. That is enough. You don't have to try to be anything else. You don't have to try to fix it or fix anything. Allow yourself to find meaning in even that feeling. And thank you, dear James, for your subscription. I look forward to being able to cross paths with you and be in service in any way that I can. Hello, dear Lanny. I am feeling well. Thank you. No, I'm not sick, but my body is, and that's okay. It is a natural process of life. See, the feeling of sickness in the body, that's a feeling of health. Because so much of the discomfort just comes from your immune system functioning healthily. And so what you are feeling is health in the process. You are feeling this sickness become healed. And I'm very grateful for that. My body is working as it should. And thank you, dear John Simon Ritchie, for your GG too. Radhe, Radhe. Thank you, dear Henrique. If I can pronounce your name better, please let me know. And thank you, dear Anna, for your rose. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Dear King, you ask if I have any thoughts on ADHD. You feel like you really have to love everything you do 100% to not procrastinate. I don't believe in procrastination. You have so many interests because you have a most bountiful ability to find almost anything interesting. See, people get it all wrong. It's not that you have a lack of attention. It's that you have so much attention that you just don't know where to put it all. And I love that about you and everyone who has ADHD. But speaking from someone who has been diagnosed with ADHD, your attention begins to find so much one-pointedness and stillness once you realize that you can find the same infinite source of joy in anything. That is to say, you don't have to keep your attention in all these places in order to feel fulfilled. 100% fulfillment can come from giving your attention to anything, because the entire universe exists even in a grain of sand. Therefore, you may have love for so many different things, because you recognize that the source of love is found everywhere. If you just dive deeply in anything one-pointed, you will get the same fullness that you feel from having a more dispersed awareness. Dear Jifaji, you ask any thoughts on how the use of force is always destructive. Whenever you try to force something, it means that there's a lack of trust. It means that you don't believe the universe is going in just the right way for everyone. But I want you to listen carefully when I say that, because I don't want you to think that there's no room for us to engage in life. There should be a kind of force behind our actions, but one that doesn't make demands. One that doesn't place expectations on things to be a different way. You just offer an alternative. And that is part of our duty. We offer perspectives for the way things can go. And if the universe goes along that path, then we feel good. If it doesn't, we can still feel good, knowing that our duty was not for things to be the way that we see it, but just to see what's possible to begin with. Whether or not those possibilities manifest is largely out of our control. The least we can do is try our best, and that's enough. The most we can do is try our best, and that's enough. The least we can do is forgive ourselves for feeling like we're not enough. And thank you for the likes on this live stream. I know that there are virtual numbers of insignificance, but they do significantly change the audience of this live stream as it pushes the live to more people. I don't know, that's the currency you have to pay to be able to reach a larger audience. Never expected, because it's up to you to decide whether this space is one that more people may benefit from. So I leave that in your hands. And thank you for your tiny, dear Doom Knight. Yippee! Hello, the only S. Welcome back. Dear Enrique, you ask, how do you deal with the crushing weight of not being able to save loved ones from bad habits? By realizing that it's not your weight to carry. Simply put, this is what's happening. Is you have so much love for someone that you see what's possible for them, but you've become attached to what you see in them to the point that it's now making you suffer to see them in any way that's not in the way that you see possible for them. That's a problem because we've gone beyond our duty. Now that there's a subtle expectation for them to be any different, we have difficulty accepting them as they are now. It's beautiful to see what's possible for someone, but it's crushing to become identified with that version of themselves. The truth is, you cannot make anyone change. That's always their decision. And if they are unable to make that change, that's just where they are in their journey. And we have to accept that, because what else can we do? They're definitely not going to change if we get upset for them not changing. Change has to happen when there is space for them to grow. We offer that space. We say, I'm here for you when the time is right. But until then, we can't force our hand, lest we get upset or even add to their own stress or guilt, which can be, counterintuitively, one of the reasons preventing them from growing. In order to grow, we have to accept where we are, because the path forward has to accommodate where we are now. If we refuse to accept where we are now, then where is our next step going to go? If we're not basing path based on where we are already. So, you have done all that you can. You see what's possible for another. You offer them the chance to be helped in that, and it's now up to them whether they take up that opportunity or not. And you're still fulfilling your role. You're still a good friend or lover or whatever your association with them is, because you are not defined by your ability to make others change. The strength, the health, the understanding of your relationships are built upon offering space for them. And sometimes that means setting boundaries too. So if there are boundaries you have to set, that can be a very healthy thing to do. Thank you, dear Chief G, for your friendship necklace, and Gigi. Om Kring Kali Kaye Namaha. Thank you, dear Taylor, for your little crown, your donut, and your galaxy. Never expected. Even your presence here is a beautiful gift. Anything beyond that is a bonus. Om Kali Maha Kali Kali Ke Parmeshwari Sarvananda Kare Devi Narayani Namostute. Thank you for being here, dear Jeff John. Well said, dear Henry K. All things good require effort. Success always lies upstream. Dear Taylor, you ask, have I ever been at a point where you are lonely but not ready yet to move on to another person? loneliness has nothing to do with other people. You can be in a relationship and still feel lonely. And you can be single, but still feel completely whole together. Still feel like you have a deep connection. What we really are missing is not something that can ever be filled by someone else. What we're missing is connection. And you can be in a relationship but not really have a deep connection, and thus you still feel lonely. You can be surrounded by many, many people that call you by your name, but you still lack a connection and thus feel lonely. And you can be by yourself with no one else around. And if you have a deep connection with yourself, with your higher self, with the universe, you will not feel lonely. What is missing is not a person, but connection. And I pray that you find that connection within. I pray that you recognize just how much beauty is within you. A recognition that does not take place through the words of others or validation from outside, but a genuine recognition of just how much light is inside you. And you can begin to recognize that by observing how much darkness is around you. If you understand just this, that the universe places its light sources to exactly fill the surrounding darkness, then all of the challenges in your life, all of the darkness, all of the limitations, all of the pain, all of that should be an indication of just how much love and light and healing grace is within your being alone. Because you wouldn't be put in a position if not to shine on all that. And thank you, dear Abdul Rahman, for your quintet of roses and for raising the voices of the vulnerable, such as those who are suffering in Palestine at this moment. May we not only pray for what's beyond our control to become more and more peaceful and just, but let's also pray for our own ability to make a difference, to continue to amplify the voices of those who are being silenced, and share what resources that are necessary for ourselves to live a genuine life of happiness, and give the rest to those who may be in more need. I apologize if my voice seems raspy, or if I need to clear my throat or cough throughout this live stream. Thank you, dear little potato Sam, for your hand hearts and heart me. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Hello, dear MJ. course, dear Taylor. Wise words, dear Amy. During these times of elections, let us remember that true change begins within ourselves. You may place value in a vote once every few years to make change outside. But within each moment there is an election going on in our hearts. And the two main candidates that rule our heart go by the name of fear and love. And you get to vote on who represents your heart, fear or love in each moment. Who you want to make the decisions for in this body. What gets to decide? Do you want to act out of fear or love? This is the eternal election taking place in our hearts. And thank you, dear little potato Sam. To really change the world, we have to change the countries that make it up. But to truly change a country, we have to change the states that make it up. To truly change a state, we have to change the cities that make it up. To truly change a city, we have to change the communities that make it up. To truly change a community, we have to change the homes that make it up. And to truly change the homes, we have to change the families that make them up. And to truly change our families, we have to change ourselves. And to truly change ourselves, all we have to do is change our perspective. So remember that true change always begins from the small, the local, and then expands to the global. From our own hearts to those around us. And thank you, dear MJ, for your hand hearts too. Hari Om Tat Sat. And thank you for your follow, dear Galilea. And thank you, O1, with an emoji for a username of, looks like an Atari alien ship, you know. Now, to conclude our Shravana, I would like to read from another chapter of Hollywood to the Himalayas. I hope that this reading touches your heart as we read it together. This 45th chapter is titled Being a Woman in Spiritual India. And what I love about this is that you can either relate to that, you can relate to what it's like to being a woman, being in a spiritual place, being spiritual yourself, and thus this book validates you. Or if there are parts that we can't relate with, then we still benefit, because then we gain a new perspective. So either way, I hope this book touches your heart and my words relax you. This is January of 2013, and I was 11 years old. India has had a complex relationship with women, and religious India's relationship with women is even more complex. Hindu tradition worships the divine feminine reverentially. 18 days a year are dedicated to the worship of the mother goddess in her different forms. There are temples exclusively dedicated to the mother goddess, and even in others dedicated, for example, to Lord Krishna or Lord Shiva, you will likely to find an elaborately decorated image of Ma Durga or Ma Kali or Ma Lakshmi. Among the many high court judges and political figures who have served India, Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister for 15 years, and Pratibha Patil, a gentle, motherly figure, was President for 5. On the religious and the practical and political levels, India is quite progressive in honoring women's rights and empowerment. At the same time, sexual harassment is far too common, as are domestic violence, rapes, and murders. More and more organizations are forming to drag this monster out of the closet of denial and into the daylight of awareness and action. Women's empowerment training programs in villages and cities are growing to provide not only sewing and handicrafts, but also karate. This is one of the reasons our global interfaith WASH Alliance is working so ardently for the provision and use of toilets. When millions of girls and women in rural villages don't have a toilet at home, they have to go into fields and forests to heed the call of nature. They are easy prey not only for wild animals, but also for men. Toilets in their homes provide safety and security, along with obvious health and hygiene benefits. But that lack of safety, whether on the streets of Delhi or in the rural villages while trying to defecate in a field, is not something I've personally experienced in India. I have never felt unsafe on any street or dirt pathway of the country. Granted, of course, I am never out alone. I live in a cocoon of which I am acutely aware, a safe, protected, tightly woven existence of care, love, and respect. And yet the undercurrent of misogyny exists, only in a different way. As the tradition of sannyas, of renunciation, is seen as the highest level of religious leadership, and as the vows of sannyas include non-negotiable vows of celibacy, and as the overwhelming majority of sannyasis are men, there is a mostly unspoken denigration of all things female. I never travel with women, and I never have women around me, or commonly used sentiments or statements to impress listeners with the strength of the speaker's religious convictions, purity, and integrity. Conversely, he is always surrounded by women implies that he is corrupt and impure and of a lower caliber. Segregating men from women during worship is common in Orthodox traditions around the world. My mother grew up in attending an Orthodox Jewish synagogue where the men sat separately from the women, but after the service, my mom, her brothers, my grandmother, and my grandfather all walked home together. My mom and grandma were not expected to walk behind the men, nor were they expected to travel in separate cars. In India, though, there is an implicitly accepted understanding that the mere presence of a woman, even if that woman is also a sannyasi, a nun, and therefore has also taken the vows of celibacy, brings impurity. The holier the place, the higher level of religious leaders present, the less likely that a woman will be on stage. The first time I was subjected to this tradition was in the Kumbh Mela in 2013. Prior to that, as my years in India went by, and as I did more and more public speaking, I found myself on more and more stages, shared by both women and men. But in the religious world, mostly with men, I hadn't thought about my presence as a woman other than to notice that I was frequently the only woman on stage. I began accepting invitations to speak because I knew that if I didn't go, there would be no woman on the stage. I went so any girl or woman who wanted to take to a path of spirituality would see that there is also room for women. The doorway to God and to religious leadership is open to all. The Kumbh Mela is seen as the holiest of holy times, and the place where it takes place, the holiest of holy lands. We were visiting the Kumbh camp of one of the most revered saints, a man I knew well, revered immeasurably, and loved dearly, someone I had spent a great deal of time with over the years at his ashram, at our ashram, and in many other places. The stage was filled with 50 or 60 of India's most respected religious leaders, all men, seated according to seniority. As Swamiji and I entered, the ushers took him reverently onto the center of the stage, and he sat in front with the saint whose event it was and the other most senior leaders. The ushers lovingly walked me up the stage and showed me where to sit, in the second row, off to the side. As I settled into my seat and crossed my legs, one of the most respected saints, who I also knew well and loved dearly, rose from his seat and motioned for me to follow him. I jumped up immediately. I am so sorry to have to say this, but I've been sent by the saint whose event it was to tell you that this is just a Mahatma, a great soul stage. The word Mahatma is colloquially used to mean male religious leaders or saints. He looked at me lovingly and said, "I am sorry, but there are no women allowed." My eyes filled with tears, and he clearly felt awful to have to tell me. I flopped my head left and right as respectfully as I could. I'd become expert at the Indian head signal that means no problem. Sure. I then bent down to touch the ground in front of his feet. I was afraid that if I spoke, my voice would crack, so I just turned to walk down the stairs. "They are putting a chair for you in front," he said. But instead of walking to the chair, I exited from backstage onto the Mela grounds. It was the heat of the afternoon, after lunch and before dinner, a time when most people were either napping or sitting in one of the hundreds of makeshift tented halls. I walked and walked until I got to the banks of the river, where it was thankfully quiet. I sat on a log with my back to the sun and cried. I hadn't felt that alone since elementary school, when the girls in my class would form "We Hate So-and-So" clubs, each day dedicated to a different victim. One day I had walked into school to discover that no one would talk to me. They only pointed at me and giggled. I must have been the so-and-so that day, and I experienced a sense of loneliness that day I'd never felt before or after. As a child, I loved being alone. Whether doing art projects, photography, reading, playing handball against the garage door, or swimming and lying in the sun, I was always happy alone. But rejection was entirely different. There must be something wrong with me to be it today. I had thought on that day of 5th grade. To this day, I can still tap into the pangs of isolation I felt. As I took my walk of shame out the back of the Kumbh tent and down to the riverbed, I felt those pangs again. "It's just your ego," I told myself. So what if you can't sit on the stage? You think you deserve to sit on the stage with India's holiest saints? Get over it. Who do you think you are? I berated myself for a while, and I vowed to work harder on my ego. But something wasn't right. Rather than the clear spaciousness I feel when truth has been revealed, rather than the stillness I feel when I let go of another layer of false identity and sink deeper into my true self, rather than that spaciousness and stillness, I felt a tug. Something in my heart tugged on me to listen. This is not about you. This is not about being on that stage. It's about being female. Being male or female is one of the most fundamental aspects of who we are in this finite, time-bound body, much deeper than our identification as our professions, our relationships, or our financial or social status. To be pushed away due to something over which I had no control, something I could not meditate away, or pray away, or puja away, which means worship away, something I could not renounce away or serve away, to be unworthy of presence due to something that fundamental, and which I loved and never wanted to change, filled me with despair, indignation, and gratitude simultaneously. Despair that I would be forever rejected, indignation that I should be rejected on the basis of gender, and gratitude because I realized that in that moment, hunched over a log on the banks of the confluence of the sacred Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati, 3 female goddesses, holy, sacred, divine rivers that, despite or because of their femininity, were not only pure themselves, but were also the bestowers of purity on others. I realized as I scooped water up to my face to wash it with their waters that I was being pushed to a deeper level of anchoring. I was being pushed into an inner expansion that had to make room for the simultaneous embrace of my femininity and of the world that rejected it. To be grounded not in having a place on the stage, but in having a place in my own self. There would be stages where I'd be welcome, and there'd be stages I was not permitted on. My task was to understand that lack of acceptance on a stage does not undermine the presence of spirit, that females not being permitted somewhere does not undermine the power and purity of the divine feminine. People travel from across the world to bathe in the female rivers of India in order to attain purity. I could send the paradox into my brain where it would eat away at me, or I could send it into my heart. The heart can create space enough to embrace a world where they pray to the goddess, but don't believe that women's souls are great enough to be a Mahatma. A world where we are taught that there is nothing but God, and where the teachers of this truth see women and men as separate. I have not fully resolved this paradox, but I work to expand the space within me until there is room for all sides of the paradox, in which I revere and adore these leaders and feel deeply grateful for the opportunity to be with them. And at the same time, if I were in charge of the rules, I would declare that women's souls are also Maha. Great. That the presence of female energy certainly does not defile, and in fact uplifts male energy. And in that ever-growing spaciousness, I worship the goddess in the form of Mother Ganga, Mahalakshmi, Kali, and Durga, in the form of Radha, Mirabai, and Sita Ma, and in the very female body I was given. In that spaciousness, I can worship the feminine while still worshipping the saints who would have kicked her off a Mahatma stage. This is the spaciousness I seek in my heart. This is the expansion of consciousness I meditate on. There's room for it all. There is nothing but God. Thank you for listening. What a heartfelt, empowering, and yet humbling passage on femininity in India as it pertains to spirituality and religion. I hope you enjoyed that reading. Hope it expanded your understanding as much as it did mine, and affirm any femininity within you. Namaste. That concludes our Shravana today. So here we are transitioning into our Manana. Now my attention returns back to the comment section, and we can explore whatever is on our hearts and minds. And thank you to those who sent a gift while I read, such as dear Usha Bai for your fruit friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another 1, 2, 3, 4. And a 1, 2, 3 in addition, as well as a heart me. Om Namah Shaktyai. I'm happy you enjoyed that reading, dear Lani and Kev. We need that gender affirmative insight in so many traditions. Yes. I was just learning about the story of Ila, which is a deity in the Vedas. Even the Rig Veda, which is the oldest of all of them, literally in the oldest spiritual revelation that we know of, is the story of Ida, who is transgender, a transgender god/goddess. Or because there's so many different variations of the story, that same Ila can represent a gender fluid goddess too. Essentially what ends up happening is that Ila transitions from one gender to another many times throughout their life. And I was very in awe of that story, because there were just so many divine elements in that spoke to the heart of the LGBTQ. And this is a core scripture in the world's oldest religion. In there we find the story of a god that became masculine, feminine, and something even in between. I learned the Sanskrit term for the non-binary. In the world's oldest language, there is a name for a non-binary, not gender neutral, genuinely non-binary. That word is in Sanskrit is Tatpurusha. No, sorry, Kimpurusha. Tatpurusha means something else. There's a mantra named Tatpurusha. Om Tatpurushaya Vitmahi Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudrah Prachodayat. But yes, Kimpurusha is the ancient Sanskrit term for the non-binary gender, as it was applied to one of the gods/goddesses, Ila, which is very fun to pronounce. That's an L sound pronounced not at your teeth, but when you curl your tongue back. It's the rarest sound in all of Sanskrit. Ila. The retroflex lateral approximate. So I thought that you'd all enjoy hearing of the existence of transgender / non-binary god/goddess. in humanity's oldest religion. And hello, dear Marissa. So not only is transgenderism and queerness not a recent thing, but acknowledged in literally the oldest religious scriptures in the world. It is also venerated as a status of divinity too. I was also learning from dear Ushabai that we had talked about Reiki the other day on a previous live stream, and how as a term it comes from Japan, but she was humbling me in that it also goes back to Vedic times, and even in the Atharva Veda you can find a description of people extending their hands and giving and receiving healing energy. But that science was lost and then rediscovered by a Japanese man who then coined the term Reiki. Thank you, dear Jasmine, for your heart meet too. Om Karingalikaye Namaha. Dear Lani, you wonder if I've ever considered reading for Audible. I have not considered it. Well, I have had a passing thought of doing that, but you know, it takes a long time to read through something. You know, we're already at day 50 reading through our book Hollywood to the Himalayas, and that's with just rolling with the mistakes. For Audible, you'd have to, every time you made a mistake, you'd have to redo that line or whatever, and you'd have to make sure that your soundscape is totally quiet. And you know, I have so much respect for those people that have that level of patience. And maybe one day I can have that level of patience too. Nonetheless, I hope to offer all of my readings as a substitute for that, and as such, there's dedicated playlists on my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel for you to listen to or through. Dear Gregor G, you wonder, what would the Vedas call Reiki? A prana transfer? Something like that, probably. Yeah, prana is definitely the name for the energy. But it is pranayama, the conduct of prana. Nowadays, we use that term to describe breath work. However, in the most literal sense, Reiki is a form of pranayama, because prana does not have to do with our physical breath exclusively, but also our spiritual breath, that is the chi, the ki, that flows throughout our bodies and minds. Thank you, dear Lani. Dear Dansuela, you share that healers, shamans, and ceremonial leaders are often two-spirit in our indigenous traditions. I love that. And what a great connection between those two Vedic insights that came yesterday. Mm-hmm. In order to be tapped into divinity, we have to be embracing each side of divinity, the masculine and the feminine. We cannot just be able to tap into one side and not the other. They are two sides of the same coin. Now, on the subject of patience, the Only S asks, how to be more patient? You've been trying to be patient, but it's been difficult lately. I think you have to put yourself in a position of practicing patience. For example, leave your phone at home one day And if you're ever in a lineup or you're waiting for something, waiting to catch the bus or whatever it is, you have no choice but to practice patience. You don't get to distract yourself. Perform some austerity like that. Practice meditation. Any kind of austerity allows our mind to reconcile its position from being a master to a servant, from being the one that gives instructions to the one that takes instructions. The irony is that we all want a peaceful mind, but we want a mind that is in control. And the truth is that a mind can only be peaceful when we relinquish our control. That is to say, we surrender. And we let our mind be something that receives instructions rather than gives instructions. But that's a power dynamic, and anything in power is not easily going to give up its throne. Therefore, there has to be a little bit of a battle ensuing between the mind and higher faculties. And that is truly the purpose of discipline. Not because you deserve it and you're a sinner or whatever other people may say is the purpose of discipline, but as a voluntary way to relinquish the authority of the mind and instead use the mind as a servant of a higher authority. And as Maggie has said, you cannot spell asceticism without ascetic. An ascetic can be used as a synonym for a saint. You like to leave your phone at home when you go for a walk, shares Lanny. And how liberating is that? And how ironic that that leaving something behind that gives us more control, in some sense, actually is freeing. That in some sense, to limit yourself with not having a convenience can be so freeing, because we become dependent on convenience to the extent that without it we are inconvenienced. There is a way instead of shifting our perspective to see nothing as an inconvenience. Even something that appears to hold us up, something that appears to challenge us or bring discomfort, is very convenient if you recognize its value, the purpose and the meaning behind having something else to work towards. And that's what these things do, that come our way, that challenge us. They are the gifts themselves that bestow virtue. To consider them in any other way is to forsake our true identity. For we are not here to gain anything material, but only to gain in spirit. And it is during those moments where there is a lack of some material comfort, convenience, luxury, or pleasure that provide us with an opportunity to gain in spirit, to discover patience, humility, surrender, faith, etc. And dear Lanny, you share, you find having a phone just a nuisance. You miss the days of payphones, the days of face-to-face communication, the days where you needed to get a hold of you, that we'd have to come over. And that is the true meaning of the verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that to the sage, what is day to others is nighttime, and what is nighttime for others is day. The meaning of this verse is, what is a pleasure for others becomes a pain for the sage, and what is a pain for others becomes pleasure for the sage. Dear Gav, you share, you spoke to a human the other day. It was so cool. It's rare when that happens. I have a question of the day for you today. Today, my question of the day is, how can we be more respectful to the feminine? And while you think of that, I'm going to answer the call of nature. Seemed like the background music paused for the exact same amount of time. Water is a good reminder as well. Thank you, dear Kev. I don't actually have water, but I have chai. Hello, dear brave Bella. And dear G to Infinity, you shared, to be honest, you think you only use this phone now to watch this live stream. I like that. Dear Gregor G, you ask, what is a human? Probably the only animal that questions itself to that extent. We drive ourselves crazy over what it means to be a human. A cat is not so bothered to be a cat. A worm is not trying to philosophize what it means to be a worm. But a human recognizes its humanity and goes, what on earth? Literally. Dear Ryan, your answer to our question of the day. We can be more respectful to the feminine by listening more, empowering more, and including more. Well said. Thank you. In simple terms, to describe the relationship between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, since femininity is tied with creation, with nature, and masculinity is tied with the source, with the potential. Ultimately, it is the role of the masculine to empower the feminine. That's the most masculine thing that we can do. And likewise, the most feminine thing you can do is give purpose to the masculine. And it's like that. Our own identities are dependent upon each other. One of empowering and one of giving purpose to fulfill their complementary roles. Dear Rhiannon, you share we can be more respectful by holding space for her. I like that. And the only S, you share, you feel like the way to honor the feminine is to provide them with balance and stability and security. True words. And dear Jasmine, you think we can be more respectful by treating femininity equally to the masculinity. They are certainly equal in meaning, in depth, though we can recognize that they have unique purpose and unique power. In the same way that we require equality of understanding, but equity in how we can make use of our understanding. Dear Greg RG, you share, so we can support women to do what they want to do. Absolutely. Dear Marco Antonio, you would like an opinion on a personal matter. You share that your partner cheated on you and you are confused and can't seem to find a way to act. Then don't act. Just be. Recognize that it has nothing to do with your own value. That it wasn't because you were insufficient or unlovable or incapable of providing something that they saw it in another. The mind is truly incredible, that it can, even though being the one which had done nothing wrong, still feel like that it had done something wrong, that if only I had been more like this or more like that, then they wouldn't have acted like this. But the truth is that another person's actions are never a reflection of you. Only your own actions are. And in this moment, your mind has gone to what action you can take. But there's nothing for you to do. Just be. Reflect on this. Communicate. The real mistake is that there hasn't been communication. It's entirely understandable that we might not fulfill all the roles that a person may seek in a relationship. The problem is a lack of communication and proper boundaries. So now is the time to contemplate upon the value of communication and setting boundaries. And this is a lesson not for you to beat yourself up for or to judge anyone else either, but a reminder of the importance of being able to understand one another. And forgiveness will be your best friend. But remember that forgiveness doesn't mean letting someone back in your life if they cross the boundary. It's something to free yourself up of any negativity so that it doesn't burden you anymore. You deserve to not be bothered by a mind that ruminates on what has happened in the past All you can do now is consider the future ahead and what that means for you. And you've been given an opportunity to change some things in how you perceive your partner, how you perceive what you want in a partner, and how you perceive yourself in need of any at all right now, and what you really want in life right now. And sometimes these things come in the form that they do to give us that moment of reflection, and that is certainly a valuable thing to give yourself. Thank you, dear Marco. I know you will get through this. And Crossfires, you ask, but what kind of things can a man empower a woman? Well, if that's in reference to the question of the day, know that my question of the day has nothing to do with being male or female. You can be male and be feminine. You can be female and be masculine. Femininity is not related to our biology any more than masculinity is. It is simply a matter of energy, and we all have access to this energy. Hello, dear Hanan. Dear the only S, you share also to shine the light on their essence is key to respecting the feminine. I love that. And Doom Knight, you share that we as men can become in touch with our feminine side. Absolutely. Dear Lanny, we can be more respectful to the feminine by acknowledging that her feelings are valid. That does too. The only S, you share that you wish to share your experience with masculine and feminine. Can you join the live? You know, I think I would love to have you up, if the offer is still standing. So please feel free to. And I would love to check in on how you are doing, how your healing journey has been going.
Hi. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
This is so awesome. I love joining this live. It's like a celebration for me. But
First of all, how are you feeling? How is your are you back from the hospital?
well, yes, I am now home, but there's still a lot of healing that needs to be done. And I've experienced that people on the brain, like if someone has a brain injury, they can be they can tend to be very emotional, and it's been very emotional for me these past few days. So I'm hoping to get some help for that at some point. And yeah, like there's a lot of pros and cons with being home now. I didn't really think about when I was in the hospital. I actually miss having nurses. They
That makes
helped me
sense.
at times. But I couldn't stand the nurses when I was in the hospital too. That's funny. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I'm doing okay.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And in terms of my masculine and feminine experience, now there's probably multiple experiences that I want to get into. One being And this is key. Like, I think I've shared a little bit on this before, but I've experienced like being on a spiritual path. I kind of became very feminine, like, in a way, and like honestly it became unstable for me, like due to I was also taking like certain some would call it plant medicine, some would call it drugs. It's like psychedelics and cannabis. There was a lot of that, and
you feel like those things brought out your femininity?
Oh yes. It because part of the femininity also is the kundalini. And actually, if those drugs are taken in a way that's maybe a spiritual seeker is not really aware of what they're doing, it can cause like a rupture to happen, which I've mentioned before is called Kundalini syndrome. And it's where it's basically like the feminine nature is very, very wild and strong in you, and you're able to access certain parts of like the spiritual I guess you could say realm. I don't know how to say it. I don't know what to call it, but like you experience certain things that you're not ready for. And this is why the masculine is so crucial. And like I really hope everyone, is listening to this that's on live, like please make sure your masculinity is good. Like femininity is great, but don't disregard the masculine nature, please, because it is what contains the feminine. It is what holds it and grounds it into place. Without that, you can end up in the hospital. I mean, at least I have. Over mental illness. It was not fun. So, yeah.
That reminds me of the story of Kali, which is a personification of Kundalini energy. And her story is that once she gets going, she keeps going and going and going until she gets herself in trouble. And then she calms down. And that is the story of Kundalini for many people. So what has been a way for you to ground that energy in divine masculinity?
So, thanks to, I don't know if anybody understands who Aubrey Marcus is, but I was watching this video of Aubrey Marcus. He's like he's a podcast, he's a spiritual podcast guy. And he had this video with this certain zodiac, like I don't know what to call her. She does a lot of stuff with zodiac systems and astrology, and she was talking about the elements, and she was saying how he was so strong in his earth element, and that the earth element is like it's sort of like the masculine containment system. Like that's kind of what it seemed like to me. How he's able to, just manage and ground and stay stable. Like it really inspired me. So then I started thinking like, okay, so how do I go about it? And I started working out. Like I started exercising, squats, push-ups, stretches, and certain breathing exercises. And I also started saying affirmations to really like welcome in the masculine energy, because it was so needed. And I mean, it started helping. The only issue was then the car accident happened. So when the car accident happened, like and I was in the hospital, like I don't know, like it's like I got clicked back into feminine feminine way, cuz like I felt like a baby. I felt like everybody was like providing for me and helping me, and like I was like, you know, receiving a lot. And like literally I really felt like some like innocent like baby kind of nature, like, and that I feel like is part of the feminine nature, is like that innocent like receiver. And like I don't know, it kind of shook my world. Like I was like, dang, like I had to like try my best to really ground still. I think I am. Another thing I recommend is putting your feet on the ground. Really put your feet on the ground and make sure that, you know, it's like a part of you. Like welcome Mother Earth into you, because honestly, when you ground that, all of that energy, like especially if you're like done like a lot of spiritual, you know, exercises and didn't do a lot of like physical work, it's really crucial to like step onto the ground and like pull in everything that was downloaded into you. And I say downloaded because I feel like the divine kind of like can send you many information in terms of energy codes. I don't know how to explain it. This is like one of the first times I'm like talking about this, but yeah, so it's like energy codes. It's like being sent to you, and it can trigger a lot if you're not ready. If you're not ready, it can trigger a lot within you. It can scatter about. And so the grounding part, it's like Mother Earth kind of takes you like in her womb, and like just think of a tree. Just think of a tree and the roots of a tree. That's so important. And honestly, that's another thing I do. I know I'm saying a lot after you asked me this, but
thank you for sharing.
So sometimes I would imagine, like I would like literally visualize like a tree, like just like I'm a tree, like having my roots in the ground. And like sometimes I'd imagine like a mountain as well, because like I said before, that masculine nature is all about that stability. Yeah, and sturdiness, and like very steady and indestructible in a way. Like
you'll notice earth element is the only one that's not in movement, whereas air, fire, water, it's all flowing, but the earth is still.
Yes. And yeah, I mean that's basically it. And I feel like once someone really understands this, it can be easy. It actually can be pretty simple. On some level, I do recommend getting a guru if it's you know, one, a lot, and two, you're kind of still new to this. I'm kind of waiting, I guess, to understand what guru or spiritual master I am actually gonna be led to. But because
you can go shopping.
Oh yeah,
window shopping.
Yeah. A lot of it requires money though, so
Well, I don't think a true guru will ever have a paywall for any disciple, so that's no problem.
I mean more so on the traveling aspect, because I can't do online. Like, I've tried online before, and yeah, online just like it's like in one ear and out the other kind of thing. I need someone directly like with me throughout all of it. So yeah, that's part of my story that I guess I wanted to share first in terms of masculine.
Thank you. I love that.
And if you look out in the world nowadays, I don't know if anyone really notices, because people talk like it's not existing, but it's like the feminine nature is actually very strong in the world now. Like, actually, like, there's probably more feminine energy out and existing than there is masculine now. And
she is all that is. The masculine is the nothingness that pervades it. Stillness behind.
Yeah. And I mean, I hope I do love this, because I think I'm understanding how the nature of life just works, how life is kind of like sort of, you know, like they kind of go to one extreme than the other, like to find balance, right? So like there was first the extreme and a point in time of masculine nature, and then boom, now it shifts to feminine nature. And I think now it's gonna come to a time, I don't know when, but it's gonna come to a time where it's gonna be like like balance, like actual balance. Truly,
well, that's how you balance anything, is you first have to find the limits of one side and another, and then you slowly bring those two limits together until you find the point of balance. But in order to do so, you have to start first on the extremes. Otherwise, how can you point to the midpoint, which requires taking halfway between the extremes?
Yes, I love that. Like, you just actually gave the best wording for that, and like with the balancing of the book. Yes. Yeah, that's how the world is gonna look. I don't know, I'm very excited, actually. I wonder what that's gonna look like. I'm actually very excited to see what's in store for the future. I was thinking a lot about this actually before I left hospital. I was like, gee, what is it gonna look like when I leave the hospital? Oh boy, and what is the world gonna look like at some point? Like, there was just such amazement for the future. Like, I have high hopes too. I have high hopes. You know?
And in that uncertainty, you found possibility. Yeah, like pretty much. And the one thing about uncertainty though is I recommend to seek faith as well, because it can be scary to start thinking about the uncertainty at times. Faith is a lot more difficult than we truly think of it as. Yeah. Have you heard the story of the man who almost fell off a cliff trying to have faith?
Oh my gosh, what? I didn't even know about this.
No? Do you mind if I tell you the story? It's very short. So, this man had gotten in an argument earlier that day, and he was the one saying that you should have faith in the universe, have faith in God. You know, there is no other way. And the other person was saying, you know, it's a lot more difficult than you think. And the man was saying, no, faith is easy. You just have trust. Anyway, they agreed to disagree for the moment, and later that day that man went on a hike. And a great way to clear your mind, go for a nice walk. He was thinking about faith and just how much faith he had. But he lost his footing just near the viewpoint, and he ended up slipping and falling a good few dozen feet before grabbing onto some roots that were sticking out of this cliff that was maybe hundreds of feet down. And he was thinking, oh my God, I'm so lucky that these roots were there. With faith, I knew that I'd be saved. But now he's looking up, wondering, how do I get from here all the way back up? Because he's certainly not going down. So he's calling out, hey, hello, can anyone hear you? Or hear me? I've fallen, and I can't get up. And a couple seconds go by, and he doesn't hear an answer. But then from below him, he hears a voice. And it's the voice of God. And God said, I'm here. I'm below you. I can hear you. Just let go. Have faith, and I will catch you. And the man hears this. And for a moment, his heart fills with love. But then he thinks about actually letting go. Then he looks back up and says, can anyone else except God hear me? And that's the nature of faith. That even someone who believes in their own faith, when it actually comes down to truly letting go and trusting in the divine, probably will not. And that's the end of the story.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I never heard that story before. That's fascinating. And honestly, that can explain it, because faith, like, honestly, I can understand that. I can relate. Like, I can actually relate, because there was times, and this was when my feminine nature was very strong. I believed that, yeah, faith, right? And I would, like, I had so much money and like a credit card and stuff like that, and I put my money out there to so many places, and I had faith that I was gonna, get all this money back. And I mean, on some level, yeah, I guess I'm still gonna get that money back, but it was crushing. Like, I actually started losing faith, because I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm in debt, and I don't know what to do, and like, it's a mess. Like, I feel like clarity might be useful at times, just a little bit, maybe on some, like, some situations you can have blind faith, but it can be a really rocky slope, at least from my experience. So, I now don't do anything that's going to I just feel too much blinded in. Like, if I'm questioning, like, what should I do, how should I do this, when should I do this, like, then I don't think it's right. Now, if I have a strong urge and strong, like, I just feel it in my gut. Like, I've been noticing my gut feelings have been coming lately. Then yeah, I'll do it. I'll go for it. It's like I said, it's a rocky slope. I feel like even me explaining it probably isn't the best. Just,
I feel you. There are times to surrender unto a kind of faith, a kind of not knowingness, but only when there is a knowingness in the way forward that can be made through faith. If we don't see a way forward, either through our rationality or through our faith, then that is certainly a pickle. And if we see a way forward through our rationality, then, the divine has given us reasons to use our intellect, to exercise it. That's certainly important. But also, our intellect can also be limited, and there's a third option. You could say it as a feeling that arises in our gut. I'm sure others could describe it as intuition. And that inner knowingness is also always there. And that comes from a deep experience. Our own, perhaps, infinitude of past lives being subconsciously projecting onto this moment so that we may sort through the patterns of time immemorial and be guided from another time atemporally.
Yeah, and I was just realizing, like, I actually did have a good experience with faith during the hospital. I think I shared it the last time I was able to go live here with you, but because of my faith, I actually, like, because I started thinking, okay, if I'm God, right? Like, and this took some time because at first I was questioning, like, why me? Why am I here? And I didn't have much faith. Like, I even talked to an old Christian, like, what's it called? Like, someone that runs a church. I talked
to him
on I wouldn't call him a priest. I don't remember the name. It's not a priest, but sure. All right, we can call it
pastor,
a priest.
bishop.
Yes, pastor. That's the word. Oh my gosh, thank you. So, yeah, I was talking to him, and I was like, Pastor Tony, I need some help because I have lost a lot of faith. Like, I was praying and all this stuff before, but really, like, it's just so hard to trust that everything's gonna be okay. I don't even understand why I'm here. And he told me that, sorry, I dropped my phone, that at some point to start chanting, and because he understood that I had aspects of, like, Eastern tradition in terms of, like, like my practices and stuff, like, because he believes a lot in prayer, but he knows that I do, like, yoga and stuff. So he was saying, like, chanting, and I instantly started thinking about Ganesha. And then he went on to talk about how to build my faith back up. But then on my own term, like, I really started thinking about how Sadhguru, he said on this video once that there should be no reason. And I might be butchering this, but, like, from what I remember, he said like there should be like no reason for one to like stress and worry so much, because you know, if you if you trust it, like you're on the path, or not the path, you're on the side of the prophet. He kept on saying like you're on the side of the prophet, and I'm like, I would like, on my perspective, when he says you're on the side of the prophet, I'm thinking, oh, that means you're on the side of God. And I was like, well, duh, because God or the universe or source, whatever you want to call it, the divine, it's really us. So if I was the divine, and the divine is like working with the entire like way of life, maybe the divine wants exactly what I want. Like, I don't think the divine wants to see, like, experience me suffering and pain and crying and all this stuff all the time. Like, so I trust that maybe the divine is gonna help me. And so I kept on thinking about this like every day, especially more so in the nighttime. Like, I would just think like, I'm on the prophet's side. There is no way that the divine is going to just, you know, not help me, because if like everybody's the divine, I just have to have faith and trust and accept that I'm protected and I'm going to be taken care of and healed easily. And what ended up happening, like I ended up passing my swallowing test, which helped me eat and drink. And then after that, like I get told, boom, I'm going home in a few days. I'm like, what? I'm going home? Like, my expectations kind of got blown out of proportion at that point. And I was like, wow, okay. And so now I'm home, and like, I can say it's kind of rough being here right now, but you know, thankfully I'm talking about this right now, because honestly, all I gotta do is just remind myself, like, I'm on the prophet's side. There is nothing to worry about. Like, yes, there's a lot of issues right now, but like, do I want to suffer about it? Like, I don't. Like, I feel like suffering on some level can be a choice. And I only say that because I've heard many stories that Sadhguru has shared where he chose, like he was like in severe pain, but he didn't suffer over it. Like, I feel like there's a difference in like experiencing pain and suffering. And you know, like, I just have to have faith and trust and find some way to relax. And that's why I've been going outside and being around people and doing breathing exercises. And I have to remind myself to chant to Ganesha. I kind of haven't been, I guess, slacking off a little bit.
Om Ganganapataye Namaha.
Yes, and so yeah, I feel like I'll be great. I mean, my doctor's appointment is in a few days, so I'm sure I'll be taken care of. Like, I just have to be patient, and that's why I was asking about patience earlier, because oh my gosh, these past few days, like, the anger issues really was showing. Like, I'm not used to this, because being on the spiritual path really helped me really manage my anger, like, quite, like, very well. Like, I am so proud of myself on how far I came. I mean, I was once very angry, and then I worked so hard on myself in terms of meditation and exercise, stretching, breathing. Like, it just helped me so much, and now I'm re-experiencing it, and I mean, it's interesting, but it's kind of uncomfortable, like, to me, like, so
you have the humility to acknowledge it, and that is the most important step done already, and to do so without judgment.
Oh wait, are you still talking? I thought you were still talking.
I can if you want, but I give you the space to share yourself.
Well, I mean, like I said, all I have to do really is just have faith in myself and in the universe that it'll be okay. And then after that, like, I mean, I don't know, just enjoy my life the best I can. Like, there's, like, yeah, honestly, like, me just saying this constantly, it just, there's no point in really going on and on and on about this, because I just have
sometimes you gotta keep repeating it until it makes sense. Just like a mantra.
Yeah.
And never feel like you have to formulate your words in any specific way. Just the sincerity and authenticity of your story, that certainly touches people's hearts. And I think I speak for all of us here when I say that your journey in vulnerability and honesty is deeply relatable and inspiring. So thank you. The only S. It's hard being the only S.
I know, right? Like, you know, there's all these letters that want to compete with me, man. What? Actually,
what does the S stand for?
Oh, the S, actually, like, I'm actually having fun with that. I'm letting that be to whoever wants to figure out what the S is. They can just make it up. Like, it can be the only savior, it can be the only salt, it can be the only
soup.
Soup. Yeah, exactly. Like, it can be whatever anyone wants. Like, honestly, my first thought was, you know, S, because my name is Stevie. But then I was like, nah, that's not that fun. That's not that fun. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let whoever wants to have fun with that letter. They can.
I like what Rhiannon has said. The only soul. That's the one we all share.
That's so great. Yes. Oh wow. Yeah, these comments are amazing. I did actually, I just remember that I did want to share one last experience.
Please.
And then, you know, I'm actually thinking about, like, reading the comments and, like, if there's any questions. I don't know. I just want to do that. Like, I've always wanted to do that with you, Yam. It's like,
if anyone has any questions for you,
yes,
please, please feel free to answer them.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my last story, though, that I wanted to explain was that. Now, this is masculine and feminine, but at the same time, I'm also going to be talking about man and woman. Because on some level, from my understanding, there is there's a connection somehow to masculine and feminine and man and woman. It's just like, as a man or as a woman, as a human being, we're able to access both. That is the blessing we have. But so I was dating this. I was recently in a relationship, and she actually wasn't. It was a long distance relationship. She lived in a different country than me, and way overseas, and like she was also a higher age than me. Like, I'm 22 and she's 37, so she wanted babies, and I didn't think I'm ready for that. Like, I truly did not think, and I was trying to ignore that at first, because I was just like, no, she's a great woman. There's no reason to question that. Silly things. But then eventually I really stopped and I questioned. Like, I let my feelings and thoughts like come up, and I just said, like, hey, okay, what do I really want? Do I want a baby or babies like so quick, so soon? Like, I'm 22. Like, can I actually do that? And then I'm like thinking, like, no, I'm in debt. Like, what the hell? I can't even form my own house. I like trying to see her. Like, me and her were trying to visit each other, and money issue was a main problem. And like, as a man, this is where the masculine and feminine comes in. As a man, we naturally are alright. So this can be argued about, but from my understanding, and also I was in a relationship coaching program, that the man in the relationship is the provider, is more so the provider in terms of like physical material.
Well, when the other party has to carry the baby, and that requires a lot of energy, a lot of rest. Certainly there is a biological necessity for a kind of care to flow from the masculine to the feminine in that way.
Yeah, because as the woman is pregnant and stuff, like the man has to then set things up to make sure that she feels safe, secure, like taken care of, balanced. Like, if there's any needs that needs to be done, boom, her needs can be fulfilled. Like, and I was thinking about all this, and like, I actually kind of had like not so an argument, but like a deep conversation with my ex because of that. And we ended up not it just wasn't gonna work out, because like, I did not know what that even looked like for me. Like, I did not know like how I was gonna make money that easily like that. And like, I was like currently looking for a job and stuff, and even then, like, I don't know, I feel like it'd be more pricey than like a typical like common job. Like, so me and her kind of split up because of that. And honestly, now, like, I understand my role. If I ever want a family with a wife, I'm gonna have to set things up in a way that's gonna fit like my it's gonna have to be a balance. Because one, I want a girl, of course, that is able to set up the space and be able to, because the women, I noticed, and this is from a woman relationship coach that shared this. They're really good with like setting up the space and and like really like providing the right energy and atmosphere, and you know, like making you feel good, like you know, like even just the compliments like that they give are very powerful. It can be very powerful. And
there are more than one kind of womb that she carries. There's of course her biological womb, but there's also the womb of the home and the womb of her heart, which contain us in different ways.
Yes, and so that's the feminine nature. And honestly, like I constantly see the feminine nature in a lot of women that I notice. Like even just the innocence, the playfulness, the chaoticness, like or chaos, I guess you should say. I mean, I see like a lot of that in the women, and I'm like, and then I notice that there's a lot of men that are very just like silent and like very like build up walls and are very structured and want things in a certain way, and I'm like, that is actually very masculine. So, you know, like I don't know, I'm just like, life recently has been showing me a lot about masculine and feminine and just how they correlate and just how important it is for both to exist together. It's very important. And yeah, I don't know, I'm just grateful to share this, and I hope someone learns from this, maybe. I don't know.
I'm grateful too. I love learning from you. Thank you for sharing such beautiful experiences on the nature of gender, but in such an inclusive light, which I think is definitely needed in this world, to honor the uniqueness of each kind of energy, as well as to see the unity behind them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is fun, and I have been sort of trying to drag out my words because I just enjoy,
you like being up here.
I just enjoy being here because I'm like how a nerd is with like books and stuff like that, like how they like comic book, they'll talk and talk and talk. I'll talk and talk and talk any way I can about spirituality. Like, I just love it.
You find that you are in your element when you get to talk about these things.
Yes, exactly. And I learn from it. Now I'm looking through the comments to see if there's any questions. And
I think Lily had asked, what are your passions?
What are my passions? Well, what am I passionate about? Okay, well, I'm very passionate about food. Because usually passions, there can be anger and frustration that come with being passionate. It's like a natural thing I've noticed happen. And so yeah, like I get very, very passionate with my food. If like something goes wrong with it, like I'm like, I just think it's the end game kind of thing. Same thing with music. Like I could be making music, and if I get frustrated, I mean, honestly, like I started honestly accepting and honoring my frustration when I make music, because that just shows how much I love it. Like I was just working on some song before, and it was like I wanted it a certain way, I wanted it to sound a certain way, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is like how you do this is not fair.
You have a vision, or whatever the equivalent of a vision is for the sense of sound, of how you want it to sound, a heightened sensitivity to a certain expression of emotion that requires a very precise sound vision.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually, wow. Yeah, that's the right way to explain it. In terms of passions, though, I guess I'm also a passionate lover.
You gotta be. How can you have love without passion?
Yeah, no, that's very true. I was actually questioning at one point recently, right before I left the hospital. There's a chaplain, which, okay, I did not know what chaplain is, and compared to like being in a hospital, like I thought chaplains were just religious, but they're actually all about like whatever spiritual need, whatever traditions any patient wants to be suited or respected in, they'll cover that for you. And so I started questioning him because we did this thing where he lets me talk to him about things, like I vent to him, and I was like questioning, like, why does love hurt at times? Because like I started noticing how I love everyone, like I gained so much love for family, for visitors, for nurses, for friends, like just people in general, like. And when I was like alone in the room at times, like I had like this kind of like feeling of loneliness in my gut, and I started like tearing up when I was talking to him about it. And I was like, why is love like this? Like, and I've heard other people ask this before, like, why does love hurt? So I kind of thought it was on some level funny that I was asking this, because I just thought it was, I used to not understand why other people said that, but yeah, like, why does love hurt? Like I felt like the need to cry and be lonely, but I was or not need to be lonely, but like the feeling of it from being so in love with humans and being so in love with company and being so in love with, you know, the care.
It can be scary.
Yeah.
It can be so vulnerable.
Yeah. And I think I actually found beauty in that. I literally found beauty, and I found respect and acceptance in just the way that is how love is. Like, that's how love can be. Like, it's actually really beautiful, because you know, I mean,
someone once said that love is a beautiful suffering. Maybe that resonates with you. Yeah,
love is a beautiful suffering, and honestly, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that, because it doesn't always have to be so bad. But even if it is, it just shows how much of a loving human being one can be. I don't know, like I just want to like just kiss the essence of love or whatever, you know? Like,
you've fallen in love with love itself.
Exactly.
You found the genuine heart of sadness, as the Buddhists call it.
Yeah. And but yeah, that's sorry, I kind of went deep into that passionate question. So that's probably most of my passions that I can think of. Like, I don't think
food, music, and love.
Food, music, and love, exactly.
What is food if not music for the tummy, for the tongue, And what is love if not food for the heart, etc.?
Yeah, and actually, I noticed satisfaction, which I found satisfaction in love and food, and even in music, like just listening to music during the hospital. It was beautiful. Like, I felt like I was in resonance with it. I noticed that, like, I can be very
The only spitting facts. That's what the S stands for, says Phoenix.
That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. I just noticed I can be very like a pleasure seeker. Being pleased. Like, if being passionate with pleasure is a thing, then I guess that can be me. Especially when I was in the hospital. Like, I don't know why, but like, I was seeking pleasure. I was seeking comfort, like, so much. And
maybe you were finally allowing yourself some after previously feeling like you didn't deserve it or need it.
wow, yeah, you actually might have just hit the ball.
Hit the ball.
I don't know if that's the right wording. I couldn't figure out the saying. So I just
hit the nail on the head.
Hit the nail on the head, yes. Oh my gosh, dude. Like, yeah, it's oh my gosh. Thank you, Yam.
Well, thank you for allowing yourself some comfort.
Yeah.
We speak a lot of negativity surrounding pleasures on the spiritual path as though they are all to be eradicated. But in many traditions, especially those that are inspired by Tantra and Tantric practices, one of the ways to liberation in the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra is to meditate on the feeling of pleasure or comfort itself, even if it's a temporary pleasure or comfort, as just bringing your awareness to that sense of fulfillment can lead you to a more eternal kind of happiness or stability.
Yeah, even just focusing on chewing your food, like making that a meditation, it really made me blissful. Like, I'd feel kind of uplifted, like kind of high. I guess you could say, off of just focusing on chewing my food, and even like focusing on like drinking. It's very beautiful. So yeah.
Even the simplest of things can be so rewarding.
But I am now ready for any other questions. I mean, I don't know what time you're trying to end this live. Yeah, so please.
I'll say one more question from the audience for you, and then we'll transition to our meditation for the night.
Okay. Sounds good.
If anyone doesn't have another question for Dear, the only S, I'll happily provide one. But I'll wait a second.
So I did see one question. I guess this would be the last question. What is Tantra and Yantra? Yam, I'll let you talk first, and then I'll speak next.
Sure. Well, people have heard of mantra, which is the sound form of spiritual practice. Yantra is the image form of spiritual practice. Instead of meditating on sound, it's meditating on some image, like a mandala. And Tantra is the physical form of spiritual practice, but it has gained the connotation of the esoteric kinds of physical practices, the ones that aren't already included in the main ones, like various yoga postures or meditation techniques. Tantra is often one that goes beyond them. But Tantra can also refer to the textual form of spiritual practice. As such, many spiritual scriptures themselves are called tantras. So of the three antras, mantra, yantra, and tantra, they refer to various parts of our spiritual practice.
Wow. Yes, that was very well said. I don't know if I can really match that in terms of beautiful.
Well, for you, where does the images come into play for your spiritual practice, and where does other physical practices come in?
Well, I was gonna actually touch base on not only my own experience with both Tantra and Yantras, but also Sadhguru. He actually has videos that talks a lot about both Tantras and Yantras. So I'm gonna first go into Yantra, which is, I'm pretty sure Yantra it means tool. Like, isn't there like
that's right,
tool or technology? Yeah, okay, cool. And so like Yantra could be like there you can actually have like a blessed, like consecrated tiny statue of something, of like some Hindu god, and it can be a yantra that is then able to consecrate and uplift the atmosphere of your own house. And the yantra can also be your own body. Your own body in some way can be a yantra, can be a very, very sophisticated tool. So that's my understanding, and mixed with Sadhguru on that. And then so Tantra, though, I want everyone to be careful. For those exploring, like if anyone wants to explore Tantras, please, you need the discipline first, because Tantra, like Yam said, is exploring and using the pleasures of life for spiritual growth. And see, I thought I knew what that meant at first, so I did that with cannabis and drugs, like many different drugs, and I used it for certain practices to try and become quote unquote tantric about it, and it
like the Agori Babas are using their ganja, meditating in the caves, the jungles.
Yeah, that's like if there's no discipline with it, then there's no use in being tantric. It's not tantra without the discipline, to be honest. And
what would be an example of discipline required for Tantra to really make sense?
So I think, for one, the discipline is moderation and knowing when to use such pleasures to benefit like your own growth and evolution, and like really actually like there's probably certain yogic practices that are needed in order to like I'm not fully understanding of this, but yes, I think certain yogic practices might be needed in order to prepare yourself for a tantric act. It's like a very intense way. Like Sadhguru said that it's like a very it's like the fast way to spiritual growth and enlightenment is through Tantra. It can be very fast and rapid, and that sounds fun, but it's
if you apply too high of a amperage on electrical circuits, you might fry your circuitry. So too, our nervous system requires some insulation in order to really handle the current of energy being produced by such practices.
Yes. And Tantra can even be like such things like it doesn't have to be like outside substances. I've also experienced Tantra that is based on pulling in like there's like Kundalini energy or life force energy that is sitting like in your root chakra area, and if you like pull certain muscles and clench certain muscles up, you can send that energy up. And
the various locks.
Yes, and that too can be Tantra. And so yeah, that's all I got really.
That's a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I said that would be the last question, but there's another great question that I feel like you would be able to answer. And that was from Mr. Mate, who shared that my logical mind has put many doubts before me in regard to spirituality. Is this common for others?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, dude. That is the perfect question. So, yeah, because of the spiritual, society, I should say, like, there's a lot of, a lot of confusion and a lot of very like it can be very fear-based from what I've experienced, like actually exploring certain spiritual videos and content, and certain people they kind of just put things out in a very unsettling way. Like, okay, for example negativity. Actually, negativity is probably the one thing that the spiritual community can make it out to be such a bad thing. But it's a part of life. So, but from what I kind of got from it was like, oh, don't be negative, try your best to steer clear from it. And I ended up like actually becoming afraid of it, and I think I ended up welcoming it more into my life because I was like trying to resist. I was trying to cut people off and avoid certain situations, and like if a thought came that was negative, I was like, oh no, oh my gosh, like this is bad, I can't be thinking like this. And then I'd say some affirmations that were more positive. It was a mess. Like, honestly, I've never thought that you could flex your brain muscle to 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 like resist the thought, but I've done that. And it's not fun. It's actually it's there's a lot of anxiety and stress in it. So for your answer, yes, it is very common. I'd say be careful, really discern, and just know that, like, don't be in a rush. Like, because one thing I thought was I needed to be in a rush, and this had to happen right away. Just take your time and really make sure whatever you're getting into, in terms of like videos or in terms of like your sources, I don't know what sources you have, but just really make sure that wherever you're getting your information from, it is going to actually empower you. And don't okay, alright, so there's going to be a certain thing that at least happened for me where what was it? I'm trying, like, there was a word that I was gonna say. Hold up, give me a second. So it was like, when I went through this, there was confliction. There we go. Okay, there was a lot of confliction. I thought I had to do this, but because of my sources, some of the sources, like some of the videos, they would actually say one thing and then say the other. And that was like pretty opposite. And so there's like so many confliction, and it confused me. I'm like, hey,
you want a source that clarifies rather than confounds, that makes your thoughts become more in alignment with each other rather than in contradiction with each other.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. Wow. Thank you, Yam, because you always make things simple. In terms of my own words, I feel like I kind of get a little confusing. So
thank you for allowing me to simply add to what wonderful words you share. I only wish to broaden the accessibility so that I ensure that I understand you and that others may too.
Yeah, because sometimes I question if I can understand me. But I hope that answered the question. I really tried to help.
Yes.
This is something that I've been dealing, like I was dealing with for quite some time, and I was thinking like of even making some YouTube video at some point. Like these people need to know about this. Like, people need to know, like, there's a lot of confusion that can form because of going through the spiritual path at an early time. And yeah, so I'm glad to help.
I think it is a need within you to be able to share a perspective which dissolves other people's confusion, and I would love to see more YouTube videos by you.
Yes, that will be coming in the future. Right now I'm kind of healing and resting, but
yes, that definitely takes priority.
Music and YouTube videos will be in the near future. I just feel it. I just know it. So,
well, I think we all look forward to it.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm so happy to hear from you and know that your healing journey is continuing in great force and allowing you to make so many realizations that benefit the world around you, from the nature of the masculine and feminine to love. And I hope you continue to heal. I'm so happy to hear that you're home now and experiencing gratitude for both the hospital and being home. Being able to eat and drink is definitely a big win. So I'm very happy to hear that. And thank you for coming and sharing your perspective on so many things.
Yes, of course. Thank you, for not only answering my questions, answering everyone's questions, and allowing me to be part of this live, and allowing me to, voice my own messages. Like, you're so helpful. Like, at times, like, it's really nice to hear you. It actually helps. It helps a lot.
But your voice deserves to be heard, and I'm sure that it has brought a lot of healing grace to many who can resonate with your story, your experiences.
Yes. But I am now curious on what this meditation is going to be.
Yes. Well, if you don't mind, I will let you go back to the audience and we can participate in it together.
Okay, that sounds fine to me.
All right. Namaste. Thank you for your love and light.
Thank you. Namaste. Take care and have a good night.
You as well, my friend. And thank you everyone for listening as we got to hear from the only S spittin' facts. What a treat that is. And thank you for everyone's patience. Those who sent a gift while we were having a conversation. I didn't want to cut off the only S, as their words definitely deserve to be heard. But still, I wish to honor those who sent a gift now that I have a moment. And many of these were sent to the only S. Amy had sent a heart me earlier, so thank you for that heart me, dear Amy. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. And dear Kev, thank you for your 14 roses. Radhe, Radhe. Thank you for your baker's dozen worth of roses. Rosa and pair of finger hearts, dear Hybrid-Gen. And thank you for sending the only S a rose and perfume. Jaya Sitaram. And dear Brave Bella, thank you for your finger heart. Om Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. Thank you for your heart me, team bracelet, and cheer you up, Bobby So. Om Kringalikaye Namaha. And Phoenix Light, thank you for gifting the only S a pair of roses, and a pair of roses to me too. Om Kamalir Mahakalikaye Namaha. Thank you to dear Chifa G for the rose you sent. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Dob Darker, thank you for your heart me. Ram Ram. Thank you Starlight Wow for the flowers you sent. Om Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Hybrid Jen, thank you for your perfume, your 10 music plays and a friendship necklace. Om Ram Hanumate Namaha. Thank you, dear Jifa Ji, for another rose. Om Aim Saraswatyay Namaha. I love your passion, dear G to Infinity. You are very inspiring. Dear Gina, thank you for your rose. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. And dear Hybrid Jen, thank you for your pair of finger hearts and a rose. Om Sum Suryaya Namaha. And dear OPNG, thank you for the heart me you sent as well. Hare Krishna. And thank you for your patience as I blow my nose. Now, let us transition from our manana to our nididhyasana. Thank you for your blessings, dear Phoenix sunlight. I wish to refract that light you give me back on you. I'm happy you appreciated my sound effect. The only S. I think one of the funnest jobs that a person could have is being a Folly artist or a Foley artist in TV shows, movies, radio shows where they make all the sound effects. Oh, how fun would it be to be tasked with making the sound of, I don't know, someone slipping on a banana and going splat. Just thinking, how would I make this sound extra squishy and then extra splatty? Do a little slide whistle as the person falls back. Woo! All right. That definitely is a profession that requires a lot of creativity. All right. So what do we have in store for tonight? Tonight, for our meditation, given that this body is experiencing some sickness, we can turn our attention to all else in the world who are also experiencing some sickness. So this is a very ancient meditation on listening to professionally trained Vedic priests as they chant one of the world's oldest hymns on health to wash away all diseases. It's said that this chant is so powerful that just merely listening to it can cure several ailments. This comes from the Vedas directly, some of humanity's earliest revelations, specifically the Atharva Veda, and it's called the Roga Nivarana Suktam. I think you'll really be in for a treat. I don't think we've ever heard genuine Vedic chanting here before. I've certainly tried some myself, but never from people who spend their lives dedicated to one of the 6 Vedangas, disciplines of the Vedas, which is known as correct Sanskrit pronunciation. Just by correctly pronouncing the sounds of the sacred language of Sanskrit in the right order and combination, the right pitch and speed, it's said that magical things can occur, such as the curing of various ailments. These are magic words. So allow me to bring them on screen. The Roga.
Namaskaram. These 8...
I was just going to read that. Then I realized he's going to read for us. The Roga Nivarana Suktam from Atharva Veda.
Namaskaram. These 8 mantras are from Atharva Veda, 1st Kanda, 12th and 13th Sukta, having 4 mantras each. This is addressed by Rishi Bhrigu Angiras. This is popularly called Roga Nivarana Suktam. As per the Atharva Veda text, it is believed that this Vedic chant is capable of curing or tackling all types of diseases caused by rain, lightning, thunder, sunlight and heat. More specifically, to all joints in the body, cough, fever and headache. Seekers may listen to this chant along with their doctor prescribed treatment plan. The brief meaning of these mantras are given at the end of this video. This powerful Vedic chant is rendered by Sri Mahesh Ganapadigal in the left, Sri Raghavendra Ganapadigal in the right, and Sri K. Suresh in the center. The chant is repeated twice, once with 2 voices in a lower pitch and once more with 3 voices in a higher pitch. Thanking you. Namaskaram.
And this is thousands of years old, I should mention.
Thanking you. Namaskaram.
And this is thousands of years old, I should mention.
Ange ange sotisha asishriyananna masyantastva havisha vidhema Ankan samankan havisha vidhemayo agrabhit parva asyagrabhita Munchashir shakya utakasaye enam parusparura viveshayo asya Yo abhrajava atajayascha sushma vanaspati in sachatam parvatamscha Shamme parasmai gatra ayashamastva me Shamme chaturbhyo angebhyo shamastu tanve mama Namaste astu vidyute namaste stanayitnave Namaste astvashmane yena adudashe asyasi Namaste pravato napadyatas samohasi Mridaya anastanobhyo mayastokebhyaskridhi Pravato napannamajevastu tobhyan namaste hetaye tapushe chakrinmaha Vidmate dhama paramanguhayat samudre antarnihita sinabhihi Yantva deva asrejanta vishvayishung krinvana asanaya dhishnum Sano mrida vidathe grinana tasyai te namo astu devi Om
Jarayujah prathama usriyo vrishabhatabhajastanayan neti vrishtya Sano mridati tanvarujugorujanya ekamojastre dhavi chakrame Ange ange sochisha shishriyananna masyantastva havisha vidhema अंकान् समङ्कान् हविषा विधेमयो अग्रभीत् पर्वास्याग्रभीता मुञ्चशीर्षक्त्या उत कासयेनं परुष्परुराविवेशायो अस्य यो अभ्रजावातजायश्च शुष्मो वनस्पतीन् सचतां पर्वतांश्च शम्मे परस्मै गात्राय समस्त्ववराय मे शम्मे चतुर्भ्यो अङ्गेभ्यः शमस्तु तन्वे मम नमस्ते अस्तु विद्युते नमस्ते स्तनयित्नवे नमस्ते अस्त्वश्मने येनादूडाशे अस्यसि नमस्ते प्रवतो न पाद्यतस्तपः समूहसि मृडयानस्तनूभ्यो मयस्तोकेभ्यः स्कृधी प्रवतो न पान्नमयेवास्तु तुभ्यं नमस्ते हेतये तपूषे च कृण्मः विद्मते धाम परमं गुहायत्समुद्रे अन्तर्निहितासि नाभिः यान् त्वा देवा असृजन्त विश्व इषुं कृण्वाना असनाय धृष्णुम् सा नो मृडविदथे गृणाना तस्यै ते नमो अस्तु देवी ॐ
Meaning of this mantra. The first life born out of the dark womb, it goes forward, covered in the rays of light, overflowing, wind-impelled, thundering with rain, breaking straight on, the one living force moving in 3 directions. That benevolent power, bless our physical existence and mind. Any natal disease born out of exposure to sun, wind, and rain, let it spare us from bad ailments. As you pervade every limb with powerful presence, we acknowledge you and offer proper homage. We honor and pay the homage to the power which holds every part and system of the body together. O physician, cure them who are suffering from headache and other ailment in the brain. Free them from cough and congestion that has affected every limb and joint in their body. Let any ailment caused by the rain or by wind or by heat and dryness be cured by diverting forest trees and mountains. Let there be health and wellness to the upper parts of my body. Let there be peace and well-being to the lower parts of my body system. Let there be good health for all the 4 parts of my body. Let there be peace, good health, and total well-being for the whole body, mind, and soul of my life system. O Lord, omnipotent, homage to electric energy, homage to thunder energy, homage to energy that strikes like a deadly bolt, and for that which attracts and repels itself to the targets and into porous materials, and by which you strike at the enemy. Homage to lightning, the electric energy, and to the source where you collect your power and heat. O center of the energy and power of existence. Sorry, the chat is covering that word. Be kind to our body's health and bring us peace and wellness for our future generations. Homage to thunder and lightning, the energy of the fall and flood. Homage to the force of your strike and the heat we create and collect. We know the highest and ultimate source, the origin where you stay, hidden in the depth of spatial ocean at the center of the universe. O divine energy, whom all forces of nature create and divine intellectuals of humanity inspire, producing inviolable power to shoot at the negative forces in existence with nature and humanity. We pray you, we honor you, be kind and gracious to us in our battle of life. Homage to you, O Divine Mother, Shakti. All hail. There. Thank you for listening, everyone. May all beings be happy and healthy. Namaste. This mantra spooked you, shares Anna. Good, good, a good kind of spookiness. That is the nature of Vedic chants. There's one that I've been waiting to share with you, but I think I'll wait a little longer until I feel the time is right. There's one Vedic chant that's just certainly one that'll send shivers down your spine. But until then, we'll have some more traditional meditations. Well, I say the word traditional, but that is about the most traditional of a meditation you can have. But typical for this live stream. We'll have some more of those in between. Thank you all for being here in this space. Thank you, dear Dob Darker, for the heart me that you sent. Radhe Radhe. And dear Gina Gina, thank you for the Gimme the Vote and Rose. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. Dear Chifa G, thank you for your pair of finger hearts. Om Namah Shivaya. And thank you, dear Cody Jane, for your heart me. Om Aim Saraswatyai Namaha. Yeah. This has gone by fast tonight, but here we are, almost at our third hour of live streaming. Hello and goodbye, dear Mirna. Thank you for being a part of the space, dear Don Suela. Namaste, dear Phoenix Sunlight. Thank you to my lovely moderators for making this space as inclusive and peaceful as possible. Thank you all for being here in any capacity at all. It's my honor to be able to love and serve you in any way that I can, without expectations and hopefully without creating any dependency, but discovering our own unique independence, but our shared existence and interrelationship. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. That means lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to deathlessness. Let there be peace in our environment, let there be peace in our hearts, and let there be peace in the forces that compel us. As this live stream goes on, I fear that I'm becoming more and more like Squidward. SpongeBob. Now, I have to bid you all farewell. Thank you for being here. If there's any part of this live stream which was of value, do know that I'll be uploading the whole thing to my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel, along with the reading and the meditation in their own playlists. They're there for you. And that's all, folks. Much love, dear G to infinity. Yes, eucalyptus oil has been a very important part of my life since a young age, and I always keep a tub or two nearby. Yes, I will take care of this body and mind as I trust you all will take care of yours too. Without further ado, may you have a wonderful rest of your night, afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time it is for you. May you have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Namaste.